So let's start from the very beginning, right? What kind of student were you in the middle school?
In middle school, I'd say I was a very... So, to tell you, in 4th, 5th and 6th, I was a very wild child.
Wild child?
Yes, I was very out of control.
Okay.
I was like, I used to sort of stand up on chairs and yell a lot and all that. So I was very, very sort of extroverted, like out there. And then lockdown happened.
Okay.
And then during lockdown, I think all of us were just existing. We did not have a purpose. And I think, yeah, so in middle school, I'd say for the most part, I was a pretty crazy child.
I think lockdown taught us, like a lot of us, the pros of being alone and introspection, right? We all became a little bit calm. But how did your mindset from middle school till here evolve?
Oh, I think that's a great question. I think the sort of things that have happened to me from that timeline to now have really shaped my perspective on a lot of things.
Okay.
I feel like I've become more calm. I think I've learned to speak when spoken to, and I think just a lot of lessons in general have taught me the sort of sanctity of keeping quiet at times and, you know, only speak out your opinion when it is asked or where you know it's valued. So I think that has been one evolution of the sort of mindset that I've had. Because before I used to, you know, sort of just, you know, randomly maybe do something, say something, participate a lot, sort of ask for opportunities, which is great. But then after a point, you sort of have to learn how to do it in a way where you don't seem as pushy.
That's true. So was there any particular moment in your school life which made you take your academics and extracurriculars very seriously, influenced it?
I think 10th boards was one time where, because for me, it was when my father also really was started to get invested in my studies. Because before, like personally for my father, he was like, oh yeah, she's a good kid, she scores very well, it's fine. But then in 10th, where he was like, okay, show me your notebooks, show me your test papers, just sit with me, and I was like, okay, this is serious. So I sort of really stepped up from there.
I think 10th mein aake a lot of parents start getting involved in that because they feel like bored hai is saal, thoda let's see what's he doing. That happened with me too. But yeah, 10th was a great year.
It was amazing. It was the best year of my life.
Yeah, same. I think because of taking science partly and the other some things that happened, 11th se downfall hona shuru ho gaya.
I swear to God.
10th was like peak of my school life.
My friend group, my social circle, everything we did.
Very true. But how did you figure out your core interests, what you want to do in your school life?
So, I firstly started participating in everything and anything that I liked or wanted to do or sort of that was asked of me. Like, okay, hey, do you want to do this? I'd be like, even if I didn't want to, I'd be like, okay, sure. So this happened throughout my middle school years. Then after 10th, I started to realize that, okay, these are a few core areas that I'm actually good at. And this is where teachers come back to me and ask me to participate again and again. So then I thought, let me just try and focus on those areas to sort of excel more.
And why did you choose humanities as your stream?
I love political science. It's something I want to do in the future as well. That's what I want to pursue. And I think it was the option that made most sense to me. Also, maths as a subject is not something that I'm very fond of. So, it just made sense to me.
So, how did you figure out that you like pol science?
Just anything related to social discussions or even, you know, political discussions really excited me. And even in 10th when we used to study about, you know, the voting system, whether it be FPTP or anything of that sort, I think it just clicked so fast for me and I always used to score really well also. And I think I was just really, really invested in it.
But your the mix of subjects you have, it's very unconventional, right? Because mostly I've seen business studies to be a part of commerce and most schools that I have seen, they don't let you take legal and psych together. But you have legal and psych together as well as business studies.
I do.
So what made you do that? What motivated you to have that?
So essentially, my reason of dropping history and taking DST is that firstly, I think interest. I feel like business as a subject is very interesting to me. And I feel like even in current times, it's more important for us to, while we understand the political implications of things, we also understand how it affects business and, you know, the economy of a sort. So maybe there. Also, I feel like history, I thought, wouldn't be as useful to my personal career path as much as business would help me. So that is what I did there.
And your school lets you do that?
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
pick and choose your subjects?
Yes, it does.
Because mine, the subjects are a bit of like boxed up together. So I have a lot of people who were interested in physics, but if they wanted to, they would have studied chem and maths with it or chem and bio with it, which they didn't like. So I think that's a very big flaw in the Indian education system. You can't pick your subjects that you like. In IB boards, I could pick history and physics together. Like you did, you chose business studies with humanities, right? But for example, I didn't like maths at all, same as you. But I had to study it because I wanted to study physics and chemistry with it.
So our school is essentially CBSE as well, and we do have box of subjects, so we get to sort of alternate. Now, I can't pick physics in place of pol science because that's just not allowed. But we do have a little flexibility when it comes to, you know, history and such a BSc swap kar do.
So you've managed a heavy mix of academics. Mostly the So subjects you have, they complement each other.
Yes.
Like Paul and history ho gaya. But to study such diverse subjects, was there any like you felt that you can't do it? It felt heavy.
Honestly, no, not at all. Because every subject that I picked was to my liking. I think that's why I was sort of very picky with the subjects that I took. And I think all of them are mainly theory heavy, and that's where I excel. So I loved it. I loved all of it.
Okay. And MUNs, leadership roles, Olympiads, music I see here. Do you play any instrument?
No, so I sing.
Okay,
I'm
you
a
sing.
trained vocalist from Rock School of London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So how did you balance everything without burning out?
I did burn out. I remember vividly having this one moment where I broke down. I think it was in 11th. I was walking home from school. My best friend was with me. And I was just crossing the road when I stopped. And I went back and I just sat down and I cried.
Oh,
I
okay.
literally cried. I was like, I can't do this, I can't do this. But then at the end of the day, it is what I have to do. And I feel like that really taught me how to manage my time. And then I was like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
You have your bad days. But it was a lot, but I managed.
I think at the end of 2 years of high school, I think everything happens for the good.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
each thing teaches you something.
Yes.
Because for me, I used to, in 11th when I used to go to VMC, I used to leave my home at 5 in the morning for before school football practice, then football practice, then school. So I used to directly go to VMC and I used to enter my house at 10 in the night. And then I was the president, so we used to have so many meetings and for the events and everything. Raat ko, I used to sleep at 12, 1, and then again I have to leave at 5. So that 11th grade was so hectic, but I think it was one of the years which taught me a lot of things. My personality from 10th to 11th shifted so much.
Same.
Till 11th I was like this carefree kid who didn't know what he wanted to do in life. He just used to have fun with his friends, bunking and everything. But in 11th I became so calm, I became so mature in a way. I used to think before doing everything, then how does this help me in life, right? Or does this thing even matter? I see people taking so many things so seriously, which, for example, sports. I love sports, I love playing sports, but CSK जीते या RCB मेरी life पे उस पे कुछ फर्क नहीं आएगा. It's an emotion, right? You like a team, but I think it should be secondary after you have all the things that actually matter in your life in place.
Absolutely.
Right? So tell me a bit about your music passion. How did you get into music?
So I think I've been singing since I was little, but I never really sort of realized that I could sing.
Okay.
And it happened when I was in the car one day. I think I was very young, and I was just singing along to the song. And my dad was like, "Yaar, band karo.
Yeah.
बहुत जोर से चल रहा है, volume कम करो." And my mom was like, "वो गा रही है."
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "What?"
What?
Yeah, and then last
That's such a great compliment, though.
I don't mean to toot my own horn. It's just that it's just how it happened, guys. But yeah, I think it's genetic also because my grandmother, grandfather, my father, all of them are excellent singers, trained musicians even. So I think a part of it is my genes and part of it is I've been training for a while also in music now after that.
Do you think it helped you somehow in stress bursting or anything because music helps you, right?
Yes, absolutely. So when I'm down or when I'm feeling stressed, if I just sing, I think I feel instantly better. And one thing with me that my friends also complain about is I cannot go through long stretches of time without singing or humming. So if I'm doing my homework in class, the teacher's silent, she just asks us to do an assignment. I don't even know, I will start humming and then somebody teaches me
that's
to be
so
like,
true.
bro, you're singing.
So, what about MUNs? How did you get so passionate about debates and MUNs?
So I feel like I have a knack for arguing. That's how it started. So if I were to say something and I truly actually believed in it, and I had the sort of facts or maybe data, or I just believed it to be the right thing, and somebody were to contradict it with a rather stupid opinion. Like opinions aren't stupid, but sometimes they are. Sometimes they are very stupid. So if sometimes somebody would just give an opposing opinion that was like really off basis, had no basis. I feel like the way I would sort of talk to them, they would get convinced of my point, and from there I was like, okay, interesting. I think I can do it. So then I just started taking part in a lot of competitions, and then it just.
I think I relate to that because I'm not into MUNs, but I love discussions.
I love discussions.
I love discussions. Even with my father, there was this discussion we were having that does maturity come with age? What do you think?
Yes, partly yes, but it also does come with experience.
Exactly. So my dad was for the motion that it comes with age, but I was like that no, it comes with experiences because you might have an experience at 26, which I have at 16. So the majority is, I think, proportional to experiences. The sooner you get that experience, the sooner you get mature. But I love having those discussions, and this is partly why I started this podcast, right? Talking to someone, discussing about things. I think it's therapeutic.
I was talking
For
to my
me.
dad about who would become the next Prime Minister of India if Mr.
That's
Modi
very
were to
interesting.
retire. What do you think?
I have no idea because I'm not into politics.
Okay.
Yeah, you love pol science, okay?
Yeah.
But I am not into politics. I know what's going on in the world,
Uh-huh.
but I don't actually get into a lot into politics. But
Okay.
but that's true. There's a lot of discussion in my house as well because there's no first name that comes to your mind after
Absolutely.
Modi is gone, right?
Exactly.
And I don't think that he'll come again after this term. So I think Yogi might be it.
That's what my dad
Yeah, Yogi might be it because that's the only person I can think of. That's the only famous person I can think of. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Interesting. No, absolutely.
Okay. What systems, schedules, and habits helped you stay consistent throughout school?
So I think I have a very unhealthy habit, which is that I put pressure on myself to the extent where I'm just like, okay, if you don't do this, you're gonna die, or this is gonna happen. You're not gonna be anything in life. And I feel like I have a really bad problem with procrastination that I had to sort of fix slowly. But then when it was done, I feel like my motivator is that I want to become something in life, and everything I want then is going to be basis of the foundation I make now. So I think that was really it. To be very honest, I will not lie and say that I had a proper, schedule or like timetable, and I was so disciplined and all.
I don't think anyone in the world can follow that kind of timetable. Ki 4 to 4:30 I'll do this and 4:30.
No, but Polak, I see so many people doing that, and I'm just like,
Oh.
good for you, but
Yeah,
that
I
would
can't do that.
Yeah.
I tried that so much in the early years, but I could never put it off. But I think the problem with procrastination is that most of the people who procrastinate, they know that they're procrastinating,
Yes,
but they just can't get off.
absolutely.
If I'm scrolling on Reels, I know at the back of my mind that I should study,
Yeah.
but I just can't leave that page,
It's
right?
very hard to sort of
Yeah.
take that first step
Yeah.
to close your phone.
And that
sit
makes you
down.
more anxious that I know that I'm
Yeah.
doing something that I'm not supposed to, but I can't get off it, right? But as you said, na, ki I put a lot of pressure on myself. Ki if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. What do you think about having plan Bs in that aspect? Because let me just tell you my point of view. I have two very different opinions, and I can't fix my mind on one.
Okay.
Because the one point of view of having a plan B is that if for some reason my plan A doesn't work, not even because of not doing enough hard work, but for some earthly reason that it doesn't work out, I have something to fall back on. But second is that if I have a plan B on the back of my mind, I always know that अगर ये मैं नहीं भी कर पाया ना, तो I have something else to do. So I won't ever give my actual 100% in plan A. Because I always have something कि हाँ वो ये नहीं तो वो हो जाएगा. But when you know ना कि ये नहीं तो और कुछ नहीं है, अगर ये नहीं कर पाया तो भाई और कुछ नहीं है लाइफ में जो मैं कर लूँगा, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Then you give your actual 100% to everything. What do you think about plan Bs?
I feel like I agree with you there. I think I'm the same way. While I do have a plan B, but I push it so further into my mind
Yeah.
that it almost doesn't exist. So it's always plan A or nothing.
Hmm.
And that nothing for me is then plan B.
Okay.
Which then I tell myself I would be disappointed with my plan B because at the end of the day, मेरा plan A नहीं हो पाया.
Yeah.
So work according to plan B.
So while boards also, what I used to do is कि ये नहीं हुआ तो I don't know what I'll do. This is the only thing right now. I don't have a plan B. ये नहीं हुआ उसके बाद I'll figure out कि अब क्या करना है. But for अभी इसके अलावा I don't have anything in my mind, and I'm giving my 100% to this.
I love how we have such similar opinions.
Similar story.
Yeah.
So were there any big mistakes or learning curves that helped you shape the way you look at school?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think being in a council was a big one.
Very true.
I was head girl of Maheshwari, and it taught me so much. I feel like the mistakes I made, the way everything was handled, and plus, just dealing with sort of real life people who expect you to act not like children, they expect you to actually act like grown-ups, and then just navigating that and figuring out a lot of things was a big part. Also for Lotus Sunset, for example, I was a co-president there. I think वहाँ पे भी, just handling everything with the core secretariat, it was all male.
Okay.
So it was like 3 boys and just me as the president, right? So I think that was also very difficult initially to get them to sort of, I wouldn't say respect me because I know they respected me, but वही होता है ना, for them to actually hear me out and just, place that sort of respect, show that sort of respect here. So that was.
I think I agree because being in the council, you learn so much. You have access to so many different things that a lot of people don't have, and I'm not looking down on them, but I'm just being grateful that I had that opportunity because up until 10th I didn't know कि council में मैं जा भी सकता हूँ. So what happened was I applied for being the sports captain, and then there was this new post coming up in our council, the academic council, and I scored really well in 10th grade. everyone does. But so for some reason, ma'am thought that I'll be fit for that position, and that was a part of the head council. It was a new position, so I didn't get a lot of respect because it was such a new position, right? Everyone used to say that you were not good enough for the actual council, that's why you were here, and that was kind of my motivation to prove them wrong. And so I worked my ass off for 1 year, and then I became the president in 12th grade. But I realized at the end of 11th grade that it was never about proving anything, and I'm so grateful that I learned so much by doing that hard work, even if it came in the form of proving them wrong. But I learned so much. And the thing is, being in the council, as you said, they expect you to act like grown-ups when you're actually the same age. A lot of the students don't understand that. My entire grade hated the council because they thought that we are not working for them, when in actuality, we want the same things you do. We're gonna have the same life that you have. We're gonna have the same experiences that you have. But not everything is in our hands, right? We're working for someone else. We're working for someone else's school, and we have to take 1,000 permissions for something that you want, and that's not possible every time.
And I think there's added pressure to us also, in the sense that we'll always be watched. Let's say a normal student might not be under so much scrutiny as us, because one thing we do wrong really blows up.
They might get away with something they do, but we won't. That's such a pressure.
There's a lot of responsibility on us to act properly all the time.
And in my school, so when you take science, now you get a few days off a week, like sanctioned offs. So you can stay home and study at home if you're preparing for any competitive exams. So there were days when I used to be the only one present in class out of 40 students, because I didn't get that opportunity to take those leaves because I had so much work in school. They didn't give me that. But people don't see that, right? People don't see the hard work we put in. They just see they're enjoying the perks of it. At the end of the day, it benefits.
I am very grateful, don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for the experiences I've had, and I think if not for these experiences, I would not be the person I am.
So, you've held major leadership positions. Okay, you were the head girl, you were the sec gen at Gurugram MUN. So, what do you think truly makes a good student leader?
I think firstly, being respectful to everyone and everyone. I think one thing that a lot of people nowadays are forgetting, from what I've noticed, is that after they get leadership positions, they sort of lose that empathy or lose the respect that they have for others, whether it be their seniors or juniors. And I think that should not happen, because at the end of the day, how you reflect your values and how you reflect yourself to people really makes them remember you. So I think one thing that my seniors gave me feedback about this, even the president of the company that organized the first MUN, where I was at Gen, he told me that I think your one trait that I found really, really admirable is how you respect people. You always speak to people like they're equal. I think secondly is that be passionate about what you want. Be passionate about what you're standing for. I think it's not, never be hesitant to ask for something. You should always ask for whatever you want, but I think there's a way to ask for what you want, and if you sort of narrow that down and you just have confidence.
I think all they look at is the confidence you have.
The confidence.
So many people ask me now that I have done school, give me some advice for my interviews, give me some advice for the GDs, and I was like that you don't need to do anything, just act confidence. Even if you're saying something absolutely wrong and absolutely crazy, just say it with so much confidence that they get impressed. Okay, at least he believes in what he's saying, right? Even if you're wrong. So that's the only thing they look at. But I think one thing is that people forget about others. People forget about what others want. I think what makes a good leader is that always keep yourself at the second or at last. When you work for someone else, when you put them at the highest priority, I think that's what makes you truly happy. And then they want you as their leader.
So when you empower others, I feel like you get empowered.
Because the leader isn't actually the leader, I believe. The leaders are the people who put him in that leadership role, right? Because they actually control, they have the power if you will hold that position or not. Because in my school, they used to have a student body vote. They used to shortlist certain people out from interviews and GDs and other sessions, and then it was an open vote for the entire grade, which used to have a part in the final results. So I feel like that if you make good relationships with people, if you're actually truly kind to them and you work for them and you help them, then they'll do their best to make you be in that position.
That was a little different in our school. We did not have student voting. We actually had a teacher process.
We
teacher
had
nominations and mistress, and then the hierarchy went up, and then that's how we decided.
So how do you think that being in those roles changed the way you approach to challenges and teamwork?
I think one major learning that I've had is the sort of emotional maturity I've gained.
Mm.
Before, I feel like I was, I wouldn't want to use the term overly emotional, but I would say I was a lot more emotional about certain facts, certain things, certain ideas. And now I feel like learning how to control my emotions and actually tackling the issue or the challenge with sort of logical mindset and being calm about it, thinking about it, and not giving a reaction to the person in front of you has been one of my major wins. Because the more you let the other person see, or just the challenge, if it affects you as much, or people see that it's affecting you, then they take advantage of that.
Yeah, very true. So for the students who want to get into the leadership roles, they want to start, but they feel unsure. What's your advice to them?
See, I was also very unsure before I got head girl. I was a member of community service, and that was the only position I had in the council before that. Our council positions start from very little. They start from like 8th to 6th. So the first position I got was in 11th, and then it went straight into head girl. So what I learned was that if you want to be a leader, then all you need is confidence. Just go for it. Don't second out yourself. Don't be unsure about it. What's the worst that can happen? You don't get the role, it's fine. But the best that can happen is you actually do get the role. So always go with that mindset. Don't make it your entire sort of resolve, but also just work very hard towards it.
I think that's a very good mindset to have, that what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, you don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. Like going and asking for something. And this is the very big thing I've seen people when they ask out someone, that they're so nervous about that. Ki kya karna hai? And like, what's the worst you can have? She says no or he says no.
I mean, there are worse.
But okay, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not
right?
the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. At least you took your shot.
Yeah, even for breakups as well. If you guys break up, that's what I tell my friends that listen, can you imagine yourself with this person 5 years from now? 10 years from now, you won't even remember. It's okay.
And like, do you want this to be your entire life? What you just went through? Just be grateful that it ended.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a separate topic that will come afterwards. But okay, so you've taken part in fellowships and internships abroad, right? Can you tell me a bit about it?
So there was one fellowship that I got from Canada. It was from the University of Victoria. It's actually a really funny story because I remember seeing this online and I remember just being like, oh, this is so interesting because it was on managing borders and bodies in the 21st century. Essentially about border regimes and everything. And that was a time when the whole Trump-Biden debate and the illegal immigration issue was at its peak. So I was like, wow. But then I checked it and it was only for masters and PhD candidates. So then, me being me, I was like, you know what, I'm still going to fill the form because what's the worst that can happen? I did that and I remember not hearing back from them for about 2 months. And I was like, nahi, it's fine. But then I got an email from them and they said that I was one of the most impressive applicants they've gotten and they want to invite me there and they also want to fund my entire, they want to give me $1,500 and they want me to stay there and then they want me to offer the fellowship free of cost, including that. So I was like, wow. But then I did not end up going there. I ended up doing it online because school time and all of that. So but it was a really good experience. I mean, I truly, genuinely very good because I think I got a taste of how the international education or let's say college experience actually works because they had this little classroom and there were students there and then lecture hota tha and then they used to divide us into separate discussion groups and then we had like one mentor and then we just discussed amongst ourselves and we came back into the entire group and then we just shared our findings. So I think it was really good and I met a lot of masters, PhDs. I met married people there. I was the youngest one there. So I think I got a lot of insight. So that was one. That was in Canada. Then I've done a lot here. I've been to Fortis, I've been to Moonshine Hospital. I worked there for I think 3 to 4 months in the psychiatry ward under Dr. Jadevan Nagpal. And maybe I got to look at patients. I didn't obviously talk to patients because I was a child, but I did sit during the consultations. I took notes. I took a lot of case profiles. That was very interesting.
So I went to the summer school at NUS in Singapore. Okay, last May I think for architecture. And it was so enriching because they teach in a totally different way, right? First of all, the teacher-student ratio. In my school, it's like 40 to 1. It's one teacher for 40 students, right? And then there it was like 12, 13. Every student used to have so much of attention. Like it was great, and I think that's where I actually fell in love with the university. I was like, okay, this is one thing that I want to do. And I think internships and fellowships are a way ki you get to find your passion, do everything that you want to do, try each and everything that you want to do, and then you finally start enjoying something, right? But how did you find these opportunities?
So I think I'm very grateful to my teachers who helped me a lot. There was a psychology teacher of mine who actually recommended me and my best friend for this internship. So we were the only two out of the entire school. And she personally contacted the doctor there. She's like, I don't care, you have to get me student. And then we were very grateful for that. So that is how that ended up happening. Then I think most of my other internships have just been through people that I know who know what I do and who work with me, and then they sort of recommended me for something or given me a lead which I followed up with. So I think that's why it's very important to stay respectful and maintain connections.
I think networking helps you a lot, because I saw this. I was seeing this podcast, and it was like when you go to college, 70% what helps you in life is your networking, and the education is only 30%. Because the network you make, the relationships you make, it's gonna help you so much in life when you get out in the real world, like asking for internships and getting opportunities that you might not get if you don't know that person, if you're not respectful to them. But I think reaching out to people and just asking for it is the best way you can do it. Because again, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, right? But do you think they taught you something which school couldn't?
The internships?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think all of them had a sort of unique aspect to them. For example, Moolchand, it taught me how to sort of take your job seriously. Because when I initially went there, it was very happy, we're giggling and we're just having fun and we're like, oh my god, we're in the hospital, we get to see patients, wow. But then when you actually interacted with those patients, I also got the opportunity to administer IQ tests to some children, and I was helping them out doing the entire thing. So then it was just so hard looking at the parents, because they were teary-eyed, they were looking at me and they were saying, is he okay? And I was like, ma'am, I'm an intern here, let me just take you to the doctor. So I think just the seriousness of it all, that is one thing that I learned from Moolchand, is that you have to respect professions. I think it's a lot more serious than that. And from Canada, I learned the whole sort of art of talking to others and just respecting different viewpoints, because there were a lot of different people from all around the world who were there, and some of them said very peculiar things, and then I sort of looked at it from their perspective and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And just how to sort of be a better listener is something.
What's the one thing that you were surprised to see in that international education that versus the Indian ones that you don't get to see here?
So I think we did discuss about this. In terms of the education system, I feel like we have a very open system in the sense that they don't really have textbooks. They have a lot of discussion. I feel like their entire sort of teaching style is based on group discussion, lecture, and then they'll stop in between, ask questions, interact, take breaks, divide you into groups, give you case studies on the spot. Whereas over here, it's more about textbook and straight line to line Vigyana paper.
Yeah, so true. It's more holistic, I think.
Over there, it's more holistic.
India mein so much about academics. You just have to write it line by line, and they don't care if you actually understand it or not, and you just judged on your marks, and no one really asks you कि देखो knowledge कितनी है, right? You just कि अगर मैं रट के लिख भी आया, you don't actually have the knowledge of the subject, right? And even if you have the knowledge, for some reason your paper might not go well, but that doesn't mean कि you don't know anything, right? But you're only judged on what you get. How did these global experiences influence your college plans, future goals?
So I think I discovered I'm the kind of person that likes to be challenged intellectually. So I think right now over here, obviously I love this place, I have a lot of great friends, but I feel like I'm looking for something beyond just normal, mundane conversations. I'm looking for intellectual stimulation. I don't think I'm challenged enough here is the issue. And I have interacted with people from from Pune, colleges from let's say South, and all of that, and I think more or less, while they do have a diaspora of varying ideas, I think the crux of it remains same, and I feel like I want to experience things beyond that, because I feel like there's more to life than just one mindset, sort of one path to how you approach things. So I think that is how, when I looked at things, how things are done outside, I was like, wow, this is so much more intellectually stimulating, and it really excited me. I wanted to go to class more, rather than just sit and read a textbook. I love discussions, I love, tell me about your opinion, tell me why it matters, I'll tell you my opinion, let's find something new, let's make up a new opinion. That's what I want. So I think that is how it's influenced me to seek that kind of education wherever I might be.
That's very true. Like the intellectual stimulation you talked about, right? I love talking to people who just make me feel like, okay, whoa, that's something I didn't know. That's one point of view that I can look this at, right? And that's the one thing I'm doing this, because I love just talking to people, knowing their point of views, and actually getting into a deep discussion about subjects, telling them my point of view, as you said. And it's not about, that's another very big thing. Whenever people discuss something, or whenever two people are fighting, if you notice, they're always fighting to prove them right.
Yeah.
If I'm fighting with you, then most of the people are fighting is कि मुझे prove करना है कि मैं सही हूँ and you are wrong. When in actuality the fight should be to understand the other person's perspective, and where they're coming from. That okay, we are fighting, but I'm trying to tell you my perspective and understand yours, because yours might be right. I'm not going to be right every time, right? And so that's another big flaw. Ki whenever people fight, they're like, ki, I am right and you are wrong, but they don't actually listen. That's a very big thing. They hearing and listening are separate things. They always hear, but no one wants to listen. They only want to talk.
Yeah, and no argument is sort of right or wrong in reality. I think it depends on person to person. Because your experiences might say that this is right, this is wrong. My experiences might say the same thing. So I think it's very important for us to understand each other.
And no two people are going to be the same.
Absolutely.
Kabhi bhi, right? Yeah. And if they are, then what's the point?
Yeah, then it just
it gets boring.
It gets boring.
Yeah. But why do you think, despite of so many students taking STEM majors, why were you influenced towards going to this arts major?
So I think for me and in my family, my parents have always told me from the start, you do what you're passionate about.
Okay.
Because like we study in psychology also, interest and aptitude should be aligned, otherwise there is a maladjustment. Right?
I'm so passionate about psychology, but I found this out very late in life, like when in December last year. But I would have for sure taken humanities.
It is a quite a heavy subject.
Yeah, but I love to read. I read a lot about Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and all those people, like, and I love the way they think, their theories and their ideologies. They seem so deep. I love reading about it. But I'll read about it myself. But like,
borrow my textbook, no?
For sure.
Yeah.
Just give it to me. I would have for sure taken psych and humanities if I knew this pehle, but I didn't know it. Because when I was growing up, my environment was as such that my brother had science, all my friends had science, and everyone I knew who was preparing for IIT or who was in IIT, they used to get so much of respect from everyone. So it was not that I was forced by my parents or anyone, but the environment, the conditions shaped me. Like when I reached that 11th grade, so science was the only thing that came to mind. Ki, okay, this is the thing for me. Aur kuch hai nahi. I didn't think of anything else. And the environment plays a very big role. अगर मुझे बचपन से बताया होता कि okay, commerce and humanities is also a way to go, you might take that. So I might have, because my dad is also from science, my brother took science, so that was one thing. But your parents are from STEM majors or?
So my dad is a CA, and my mom is a teacher. So I think there's a lot of diversity. Half of my family are doctors, half are lawyers, and half are finance. So nobody has sort of taken humanities before. I was the first one, but it was solely because my parents said, do what you're passionate about, because that is the only way you're going to succeed. And I knew I have aptitude in this, so why not?
So you were never pushed towards taking biology for being a doctor?
No.
Because I've seen a lot of doctor families who want their child to.
I think even I was very self-aware as a person also. My parents told me only, and I also, when I see blood, I faint. So doctors was out of the question only. Plus, even I knew what I'm passionate about and what I'm good at. So it didn't make sense ना कि अगर कैसे घिस पिट के बन भी जाती डॉक्टर तो बहुत average डॉक्टर बनेगी. इससे अच्छा कुछ ऐसा बनो जिसमें बहुत अच्छा.
It's like even if you're doing something which won't pay you well, at least do it that you are the best in that field. Like for me, architecture is not paid that well in India, but it's not like that it isn't paid. Some of the best architects in the world are minting money. So if you're the best in your field, you will do good in life no matter what you're doing. So my parents always said that jo karna hai kar, just be the best at what you do. Right? So would you say that students who want to take humanities but are unsure what the society says about them, what do you want to say to them?
So the only reason society sort of degrades humanities or art students, as they call it, is because they think, okay, what will they do? Only people who are not good at academics take humanities. But that's not the case at all. Even if you're not good at academics and you decide to take humanities, I think the question of if it is it paid high, is it paid low, that is sort of irrelevant in today's day and age, because if you sort of commit to something and you excel in it, you make opportunities for yourself to get paid better. It doesn't limit you to one sphere, because पहले हमें पता था jobs होते हैं डॉक्टर इंजीनियर, अब उसमें जितना पैसा कमाना है कमा लो. अब there are so many different kinds of jobs. There is an AI, ethics, teacher, there is this, there is that, there are so many things. So I think the world is an open space, man. And if you're unsure about taking humanities, then think your options through, and don't just take it because you don't like anything else. Take it because you're passionate at it, and just try, and even if it's just one subject out of the 5 or 6 you have to pick, I think just take one subject, any stream, but just try and focus on that.
But I think that it's it has become a norm. Humanities, people degrade, and I used to do that a lot. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not gonna lie, I like troubled my humanities friends so much.
I've been through that as well.
The rest of humanities I should there. But I think those are the people who are actually happy in life. They are enjoying their life. They are doing what they love. And people who take science just because what society will say about them, just because their parents force them to, they might have that respect, but they are not happy.
They're miserable.
Yeah, they're miserable, and they don't get to do what they're doing. They don't get to party. They just have to study.
What will you do with respect if you yourself are not happy? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's the very one big thing. Ki always make yourself happy.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that you should care about. If you're happy, then think about pleasing everyone else. Then think about what society says.
The world will be happy if you're happy. You will find people who connect with you.
And you'll learn ki once you're happy, you don't even care about what others think, what the society says about me, right? So with so many achievements, did you ever feel the pressure to always perform well?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because when you're on a sort of a pedestal and everybody's watching you, you have to make sure you don't fail, you don't crash and burn in front of thousands of people watching you.
But how did you deal with that stress?
I think it's just about trusting yourself, and at the end of the day, we're all humans. I feel we're bound to fail one day or the other, but it's about getting back up and getting back up with dignity. I think my thing was there were a lot of things that happened with me also while I was head girl president. A lot of times where I've maybe not done something so well, but the way I chose to react to it when I knew all eyes were on me, with the kind of grace and dignity you sort of get back up with, and you reclaim the power that you hold, and you don't let it affect you. Okay, I failed, it's fine. I'm gonna get up, and I still am your head girl. I still am the person you're supposed to respect, and I'll do better. And you should learn from me. So that's the kind of mindset I have. So that is how I.
But what's something about your journey which people often misunderstand about you, or people often overlook?
So one thing is that I think I've had this conversation with a couple of people. People like to say that. Two things. One, that whatever I have is because of my privilege that I hold, which I will not completely, refute. Yes, I am privileged. I think we all are privileged to be sitting here and talking about this matter in a way. But I'm not privileged in the way you think, which means that I'm as privileged as the person next to me or the people who study with me, right? And the fact that I am here and they're not, or they're there and I'm not, I think it attributes to our hard work, our way of life, our sort of point of view. So I think there is no way where privilege comes into that. Also, it's that, one thing that I'm really told a lot is that, oh, you dress up so much, you're so conceited, how do you expect people to take you seriously when you focus? And my thing is just that,
why wouldn't you?
Exactly. If I am given an opportunity to go somewhere, dress up, put on makeup, look nice, feel nice, why wouldn't I? If you're so threatened by somebody, being beautiful, or just like feeling the best that they are and then excelling, then I think it's your issue. So one thing is that people did not take me seriously initially. They just thought I was like some random girl who just puts on makeup and tries to, flash off. But it's like, I will do what I have to do, and I'll do it while wearing makeup, because that's what I like to do.
I think dressing up nice is the best thing you can do for confidence.
Absolutely.
It builds up your confidence so much. Once you know, looking in the mirror, that okay, I look nice, and then
you feel good.
Yeah, you feel good, and the confidence that you have talking to people and sharing your opinions, voicing your opinions in front of someone, when you know that okay, they are intimidated by me, right, and I look nice and I feel confident. It's something that you can't achieve. You can't learn that. It's just
and I think it's basic etiquette to show up wherever you go properly. And if this is how I want to, then this is what I do.
So how important was your support system in your journey? Like your friends, your family, your mentors?
I think that's very important. I feel like we underplay it a lot because we just think that, oh, it's okay, like, doesn't really matter, we have our friends, we have family, it's okay. But I feel like when you talk about teachers, that's very important, because a good teacher can either make your school journey or break it. I have had access to both kinds of teachers, and it has really affected me a lot. The good ones have helped me out so much, and the teachers who, I wouldn't say bad teachers because my mother is a teacher herself, but I feel like there were teachers who could have handled things a lot more better, and it doesn't make sense to me why teachers who are grown up would sort of fight with students half their age. But nevertheless, I think teachers are very important in your school journey. If you have that kind of emotional, mental support, you feel safe. Otherwise, then you're just forced to navigate everything on your own and you're bound to make mistakes. Also, I feel like family. Coming to family, my family, touchwood, is very supportive. They've always, let me do whatever I wanted to do. Of course, like any other family, they're also very cautious. They ask around, they, sort of make sure what I'm doing is safe, it's good, and they let me do. But at the end of the day, I make my own decisions, and I tell them, listen, I'm doing this. And I think they support me. Friends also, I think friends really, so friends can either hold you back, ki bhai nahi, why are you going and doing a podcast, hang out with us, all of that, or they can support you, like, oh, it's fine, hang out with us later, go to the podcast, it's good for you. So I think it's very important that you find the kind of friends that really support you in everything you do. Because a lot of people out there who pretend to be your friends also very jealous of you. Something I've noticed, they try to pull you down, they try to make snarky comments, they try to, just make sure you don't succeed. And those are the kind of people you just stay away from. So I think the kind of friend group you choose is also very important.
Do you think your friend group should have the same mindset as you?
That's interesting. Not necessarily, but I feel like on core values for me, yes. So for example, on basic things like women's rights, or basic things like humanitarian rights, human rights, if you say, oh no, murder is fine, and but it's not, right? It's not. So people who share, I think, core values same hone chahiye. That is when you can create a lasting friendship. But वैसे opinions can to matter, and I think values overall, it's fine if they're a little different, but I think core ones should, are very essential for me at least, to be okay.
What about ambition? Because I feel like that you should always hang out with people who are more successful than you in any aspect. Maybe your extracurriculars, academics, mindsets, point of views. Always hang out with people who are in some way more than you. They know more than you, they're more successful than you. Because then they kind of push you to think from that point of view, right? If I'm sitting with you and we have two different opinions, you kind of push me to think from your opinion as well, right? Your point of view. So I get a new thing, a new perspective to things, right? So I think that being with someone who is more successful than you will always help you than being with someone, or you should never be the best in the room. If you are sitting with your friends and you are the best in the room, then you are in the wrong room. You should always have someone with you who guides you, who mentors you, who is more successful than you. What do you think about having that kind of friends? And
I feel like what you're saying is very true, but at the same time I also feel like a lot of people don't have the privilege or sort of opportunity to do that. Now for example, in my friend group, I wouldn't say I'm the most accomplished person there. Maybe okay, fine, in terms of academics, school, extracurriculars, maybe I am the most accomplished person in my group, but I feel like all of them bring something different to the table that I can always sort of pick and choose and then adapt from. Of course, when you talk about success, you should try and be with successful people who are more successful than you. That is what I try to do professionally, in my professional life. But in my personal life, we don't sort of get to pick our closest friends. It just happens.
Let's talk about social media for a minute. Because social media in today's world, it influences most of your decision. It makes you crave for that validity from society, right? And like, it's such a, I find that very, how can someone be like that? I've seen people cry and I've seen people getting sad ki, oh, I only have 15 likes on my photo and I only have 30 followers. Like, imagine 15 people coming up to you in real life and saying that, okay, you look nice today and you look nice in this outfit. That would be the best day of your month or your year, right? Like 15 people coming up to you. But social media portrays it in such a way that, okay, you just have 15 likes and it kind of makes you very pessimistic. Right? You always look at the half glass empty kind of view. So what do you think, should someone be on social media in these formative years of your life?
I feel like it depends on person to person, but I would say as a fundamental, I think people above, let's say 14, 15 should, if you want to start, I think that's the right age. I won't sit here and say 18 or 16 because I know we ourselves didn't follow that. So I think it's a wrong sort of precedent to put there. But I think having social media at the age of 9 and 10, that is horrendous. Like, I would never promote, support or encourage that. But I think when you're a little mature, when you know what's good for you, you sort of get on social media. Of course, I think it's at the end of the day, it's the parents' responsibility to monitor what the child is watching, to monitor what the child consumes. And I understand they can't do that in totality all the time. But again, I mean, it is the parents' responsibility to regulate that. And the child will also learn, I think they learn with experience, for me personally, this is a really funny incident where I had Instagram when I was in, I don't know if I should say this on camera, but I had Instagram when I was in 9th grade.
Okay.
And there's some person messaged me, Issue. Right, so she was like really great. She was like, oh, I want to be your friend. And I was a kid, what did I know? I was like, okay, I'll be your friend. And I used to talk. And then beach mein I stopped talking to her because मैं बोर हो गया जो भी है. And then she started to be like, oh, no, talk to me. And she took all the pictures from what I posted and made it her profile picture.
Yeah.
And she used to, edit my photos and send it to me. And I was very gassed up. I was like, wow, thanks, you're such a good friend, girl. And then after that, she found my dad's account and then he tagged me, or I don't know. Something happened and she was like, is that your dad? Is that your grandfather? I was like, okay, it's getting a little creepy. And then I stopped talking to her, and then I used to get these messages like, talk to me. And then one day I was like, listen, you're not a good girl, I don't want to talk to you. She goes, girl, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy.
Oh.
I was like, oh my god. Me in 9th grade. I was in 9th grade. I was like this tiny chotu bacha. And then it was a boy and he sent me a picture of himself and he was like the most random rugged banda, and then he sent me a picture of something in his wallet which looked like pennies. So I was like, drugs ka photo. Oh my god, I'm going. Then I deleted Instagram and then I chalaya, I think 10th mein, baad mein, late 10th, 11th. So I think
never
this
know
is, this
who
is the kind
you're
of,
talking to, right?
This is the kind of experience that shapes you, but this was really traumatizing for me.
That's true. But social media makes you crave for other people's validity.
Yeah.
Being in that place where you crave for likes, where your day is sad because you don't get likes. I mean, you're changing your whole point of view, you're changing your whole personality for a number, which doesn't even matter. Actually, I was talking about this to someone yesterday and she was like, I've seen people go from one thing to completely something else just because they wanted to be liked by everyone else. They wanted to have that big friend group and they wanted to have that large number of followers and look that model kind of personality. But what's the point if you're not actually you, right? Let's talk about relationships now. Okay. Do you think that people should have relationships in high school?
See, I mean, again, I think it's a very conflicting opinion. I feel like I'm quite opinionated and I feel like we need to do another podcast with this.
Okay, for sure.
But I feel like, honestly, it's not necessary. Like, if you have to, sure, go ahead, like, cool, good for you. But I just look at it from that point of view, like, do you think you're going to be with this person in the next 5 years? If yeah, then sure, like, go for it. Do you? But then if you just want to do it because other people are doing it or just for the sake of doing it, then I mean, I don't think so. Because if you genuinely want to focus on something, I feel like whatever the fact, maybe it is distracting. And I think it also depends on phases, yeah. For example, right now, if I were to start dating somebody right now, I don't think that would be a good option because I'm going to college, right? But in contrast to that, for example, if I'm dating someone in the past 2 years and I know I want to be with this person in the future as well, maybe it would be okay to continue the relationship through college as well. So I think it really depends on situation to situation. And I mean, relationships, as bad as they may be or as good as they may be, teach you a lot. So the pro is that you get a lot of experience of a lot of things from that. But I think the con is that it's not necessary and it might also mess with you. It might mess with you badly. And for the people that, start to make relationships their whole personality, or they start to, put relationships above what they want to do, then that's just, in my personal opinion, I don't do that. Like,
because in this age, like I've seen people date in 13, 14, 12 years old.
That is just not
and it really affects your opinions a lot. It really affects what you do in life. It really affects what the other people makes you think that you want to do this. Right? That their choices becomes yours, their opinions becomes yours, and you lose yourself in that relationship. You lose your own identity in that. And that's actually the age where you have to make your own identity, make your own opinions, voice yourself more.
Eric Erickson's identity crisis.
Yeah, I've read about that. But I think once you're at peace with yourself, once you know that this is what I stand for, if someone aligns with that, then fine, I can go and do this. But if someone does not align with that, then that's fine too. Not everyone is the same, but okay, that's not the person for me. But just aligning yourself to be with someone else is not something you're gonna do.
I think for me also, for me personally, I think dating is more about marriage. In the sense that I wouldn't want to just date casually because I'm getting bored. Whenever I date someone, it always like I want to see a long-term future with this person. So I think that's about it. And right now, I don't think you can do that. I mean, which 16-year-old thinks that I'm going to get married to this person?
Obviously.
It happens, but it does not happen quite often. So I think that's a chance you have to take.
Yeah. if you're willing to take the chance.
Yeah, then
go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
So, what do you really think happens in your college applications beyond your grades and beyond your marks? What helps you?
I think it depends on where you're applying as well. If you talk about India, it's basically your marks.
Yeah.
nothing else. But if you talk about like Ashoka or these foreign universities, they have a more holistic process. They look at the kind of person you are. They look at how you think. For example, we may have the same sentence, but how you perceive it and how I perceive it are very different. And the university has a sort of criteria what kind of thinkers they're also looking for. So I think how you think, how you sort of express is also very important, because for your essays that you're asked to write, it might be a very generic topic. For example, what was your inspiration or what was the one changing moment in your life that influenced you. Now a lot of people might write the same thing, essentially or maybe not essentially, but the way they sort of choose to express it, write it, articulate it is how the college also perceives your intellectual sort of space. So, activities, honors, and apart from all of that, like apart from your GPA, they look at all of that.
Yeah. So, do you think how much value does these extracurriculars hold?
I think depends on again where you want to apply. If you're looking at like PU or like those these Indian colleges, of course, regardless, actually, scrap that. I think extracurriculars hold a very important role in your life, because even if you're applying for DU or you're applying abroad, they mold you into the person that you want to become, or then you essentially end up becoming. Because it doesn't matter if you're going to use this new DU application or not. If you do participate in a conference, you learn how it's done, you learn the life skills. It gives you the sort of experience that you won't have. What's the point of just scoring, going to the college and then knowing nothing there, knowing not how, you don't know how to interact with people, you don't know the basic things of basic skills, and that takes a long time to develop. So when you are given an opportunity to participate, why won't you?
I think it shapes your mindset, it shapes who you are, and that helps you write your essays and your answers in your college applications. So regardless, I think where you're applying, you should at least do some extracurriculars to build your personality more.
Personality building, that's
personality building. So what's the one piece of advice you would give to a student who's starting their college application journey right now?
Alright, different advice for different grades. If you're in 9th, I want you to make a list of every subject you're passionate about, every sort of subtopic within that sort of subject you're passionate about. I want you to research more, and I want you to really start to narrow down the subject you're interested in. That is for children who are in 9th. For people who are in 10th, I want you to focus on your board exams. And I want you to sort of really start to narrow down one stream where you're interested. And I think for people who are in 10th, 11th, 12th, actually, I want you to start building up your extracurriculars. I want you to start participating in anything and everything you can, mainly in the 9th and 10th year. In 11th and 12th, I want you to narrow down that one path of activity and then start to excel in that. Because there's no point if you're in 12th and you're doing 50 million things. If you do like 5 things, but you do them very nicely. So I want you to do that, and then I want you to start really introspecting. If you're very sheltered, I want you to start maybe going out more. I want you to start just getting life experience, so you really, you know what life is about. I want you to start introspecting so you can write the perfect essay for yourself. Yeah.
So, what's your advice to someone who feels lost? Like they don't know where they belong, they don't know if they fit in, they don't know what to study, or they're not part of a big friend group, which is not important, but at that age might be a factor, right? And they just feel like lost in life.
So, honestly, it happens. It happens to all of us. I bet it's happened with you, it's happened with me. But I think where you just get up out of bed. Honestly, your journey starts when you make a conscious effort to put down your phone. Just bed se utna is a step in itself. Do things, do a lot of things. My advice is do everything and anything you can do, and then kuch na kuch to will strike you. You will feel that, okay, wait, maybe I'm good at this, or I like this, or wait, this is interesting. Then I want you to explore that further. Try and do many more things in that field. And I think as just dheere dheere karke, you sort of just become yourself. And I think don't put pressure on yourself, man. I think at the end of the day, where you're supposed to be, you will. I mean, it all works out.
So, what do you think you would write in a letter to your 15-year-old self?
Okay. To my 15-year-old self, I'd say, don't settle too soon. Please don't settle. You think somebody values you, they don't. I'd say you think this is the end of the world. It's not. Never settle. Just keep hustling. There's so many things that are going to happen with you. So many things that you will do. So many things you won't get to do. Just keep moving forward. Never ever stay stagnant in life. Always just keep aiming higher and higher. Like you think, okay, this is the best I can do. The sky is the limit. Always aim higher and just keep doing what you're doing. Just don't stop. That's what I'd say.
Okay, so the last question. If you had to sum up your whole school life in one lesson, something that you'll carry forward forever, what would it be?
the world is always watching.
Okay. Why?
Because I think school is one place that really molded me into the person I kind of want to become. It set the foundation, and the major part of what I learned is that somebody is always watching. So if you want to be perceived in a certain way, you want to do something in life, you want to have a certain image of yourself, then you always have to conduct yourself in that way. There is always a certain way you have to act if you want to be seen that way, that is. Otherwise, you're fine. But for me, the world is always watching you. Even for your achievements, even for your failures, how to deal with failure, how to humbly accept achievement. I think every and all lesson that a school teaches you could be summed up in these lines, that the world is always watching.
True. And I think that somehow pushes you to do your best also.
You get motivated also. I think it's watching.
Yeah. Okay, that's about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Did you have fun?
Oh, absolutely a lot.
Do you think I could have done something better? Do you think I could have asked something else?
No, I think it was great. I just like how our opinions are. I feel very validated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll do it again for sure.
For sure.